Yep. So now I'm going to put myself on mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can start.
Yeah.
Let's see if we are all live. Welcome everyone who tuned into this kickoff for the Systemic Leadership Summit. I am just going to wait a couple of seconds until more people come in and share you all about the summit and also introduce myself. So I am looking at the person who's supporting us today on this live call. Her name is Michelle. And Michelle, how are we doing? Are people coming in yet?
Yeah, we're now at about almost 60 attendees. The numbers
Okay.
are going up.
Wow. Sounds really good. So just a few more seconds. I'm going to wait a few more seconds, and then we are going to be starting with the kickoff. And meanwhile, while you have already joined, a warm welcome to you. And I'd like to invite you to share with us in the chat where you're dialing in from, where you are participating from in this Zoom kickoff session. So please put in the chat maybe your name and then your country where you're coming from. We have an amazing amount of people who have joined the Systemic Leadership Summit. My name is Jennifer Campbell. I'm founder and host. And yeah, tonight I'm going to be kicking off a week of summit sessions, value impact summit sessions. And while you're typing in the chat, I'm just going to quickly take a peek and see if I can know where you're coming from. Michelle, do you see any?
I see people coming in from Philadelphia, London, South Africa, Florence, Netherlands, Finland.
Finland sounds wonderful. I just checked, we hit the 1,100 mark of participants in the summit. And I just did a count in the system, and we have people from over 80 countries joining the Systemic Leadership Summit, which is a record to date. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I want to honor that you who have already logged in are on time. And so I'm Jennifer Campbell. I'm the founder and host of the Systemic Leadership Summit. This is the 5th one that we're running. The first one was January 2017, and now it's 2021. And we are plunging into a new year with actually a lot of turbulence, a lot of changes that are going on globally. And we'll be touching on some of that, but mostly about systemic approaches and systemic leadership. Now, a little bit about my background. I'm a change manager, freelance change manager. And in 2016, I realized that I wanted to help more than one client at a time. And what arose for me is the mission for this summit. And I don't know if you're all familiar with the mission of the summit, but it's to create a paradigm shift in the way we define, shape, and experience leadership in the world, with an aim to create more holistic, more inclusive, and more vital teams, organizations, communities, and societies. And I strongly believe in the power of systemic approaches. And so that's why I started the Systemic Leadership Summit. Now, what will we be talking about in this kickoff? What will I be covering with you? One, I would like to introduce you to the summit and really show you what we have on offer these coming days. Until the 24th of January, we have sessions every day. Every day, we also have a live session in the sense that I'll be talking real time with speakers, but also sessions with speakers I've recorded this year. So they're very, very recent. Only a couple of days ago, I finished a couple of pre-recorded ones that we will be broadcasting to you and sharing a lot of value with you. So the first half of this kickoff is all about the practical side and what you can expect and what you can do to make most of this summit. Now, in the second half, I would like to briefly share with you the backbone or the structure for this summit, and that is to do with the input that I received from all valuable summit speakers from the previous summits, where I created a sort of umbrella as to how you can look at the different approaches and what they do. So that's in the second half. It's called the Systemic Change Leadership Framework. Some of you may be familiar with that framework that I created based on all this knowledge and experience. But first, what can you expect in this summit? And let me just share my screen to the summit page to walk you through. Let's see if I can put it on the screen. Yes, and so I hope it's visible for everyone, but this is where you signed up. And this is where people are still signing up. And this year, every summit has a theme. And this year, because of all that's happening in the world, and because we're experiencing so much divide, I decided to name the theme of this summit Regenerating Humanity or Regenerating Human Unity. And so the in between brackets, the U and the N sort of give you different opportunities to look at this theme. So it's a lot focused on what makes us human in the systems that we live in and how can we shape systemic leadership, but also a lot of other important elements in our systems. Now, who do we have here? So on the site, the summit mission again with a short trailer from Peter Senji, who was on in 2019, who gives a really great illustration of why this summit was also created. It very resonated with me, so I wanted to share that with you. Then we have many really great speakers. I believe that we will have about 22 or 23 sessions throughout the week. Here we have the first 8. So here we are now. We're starting in the kickoff. And then tomorrow we'll have Margaret Wheatley in a live session. And with her, I'll be talking about Warrior of the Human Spirit, the leadership we need now. Now, I'll also have Dave and Nora Bateson together, actually. That's why the title is the same, on Wednesday, also in a live session. So many different speakers. You may know some of them, but I allocated them to the umbrella that you see on the website. So see the system, share the space, and shape the shift. Now, later on, I would like to zoom in a little bit more into these sessions. But for now, I just wanted to share with you the overall makeup. And on the daily schedule, I hope that you've been able to open the page because it's so value-packed with also descriptions and introductions of who you'll find in the summit, including also add to calendar buttons, where you can read a little bit more about who all the speakers are in case you don't know them yet, if you haven't read their books yet or their work or haven't experienced them in their trainings or workshops or their work. So there's plenty for you to see and experience. We also included their LinkedIn links so that you have an opportunity to get to know them all. Here also on the daily schedule page, you'll be able to see what time they're going to be on. So not just in your calendar, but also here you'll see it in different time zones. And like I said, there's people from so many different countries. Thank you so much for joining. So we have different around the world time zones on there. So that's on the daily page. Now, what's important to know that this year, if you're participating in the summit, there are a couple of ways that you can participate. One is what you have done now, and that is to register for free. And if you wish to, let me just stop sharing my screen because then I can I can see you, you can see me again. What's important to know is that um, besides the free participation, which you're not all using, there's also an upgrade in case you do not want to miss sessions that you would want to watch because of other commitments or obligations. And for those of you, we have the premium ticket. So there's free participation, you participate live this week, and the premium ticket allows you to have access to all the replays, so all the videos all the recordings that we have. You'll be able to download MP3s. I know that a lot of people love listening to Systemic Leadership Summit sessions in the car. So that is even though we're a little bit less mobile now with the global pandemic going on, but still you'll be able to listen to it if that is more of a favorite way of learning. And then we also have transcripts. Now, these are, of course, in the making. So as soon as they are ready, they will be in our membership area also. Now, let me continue. Let's see where I am with my notes of what I want to share with you today. What is important to know is that this year, if you participated before, this year we really have limited the number of places where you can participate. So the live sessions will be on Zoom, like we are now. And if you're participating during the week, then all you need to do is be on the lookout for the daily email that we'll be sending to you. It will link you to the daily page where you will see all the sessions, and they will appear as they become available according to their broadcast time. On that page, you will also see the link to the Zoom sessions. Now, to make sure that that there's no misunderstanding, we've decided to also put the Zoom link separately in the email, but both are important. So on the daily page, you can see everything, and the Zoom link in the mail is just for the live sessions. Now, what we also have is we have the LinkedIn group. And let me just see if I can open that for you for a second. For some reason, I am now live and it's hard to go into the LinkedIn. But what you can do if you want to join the online community space, which is a group on LinkedIn, it's called Systemic Leadership. If you want to join, all you need to do is connect with me if we're not connecting yet, and I will let you in on the group. What we can also do is, if you're already connected to me on LinkedIn, just send me a message, or you can look up the group. It's called Systemic Leadership. You'll be able to find it on LinkedIn. So what else can I tell you about how we're shaping this summit? We also have, besides this kickoff, we also have a Q&A at the end of the summit. And there's an open invite for not only participants, but also for speakers. And a number of speakers have said that they would like to join. So I cannot tell you or cannot predict who exactly will all be there, but we are really open to having as many people on, just as here in the kickoff, so that you can ask questions. And even though we have that opportunity during the week, when we have the live sessions here on Zoom, what we will also do is see if what you can ask in the Q&A, which starts on January 24th, which is a week from now. Now, speaking of Q&A, this is a kickoff, and in the kickoff, we also have an opportunity for you to ask questions. So Michelle is looking at them now, is gathering them, and at the end of the first part of the kickoff, we'll have a look at that, and then I will answer any questions that you may have. So during this week, plenty of opportunity to interact in the live sessions with speakers and also in the Q&A a week from now. Now, let's see. What I will also want to show you, let's see if I can share my screen that way. Is I'm looking for my online community space, but I cleaned it up so big that I closed everything before we did the summit. So apologies about that. But we have a new online community space. So what I'll do is I think I will share a print screen next to this video as soon as the recording is ready, so that I can really show you what that actually looks like when you are in our membership space. So it remains a little bit of a mystery, but some of you have already decided that that you wanted to have longer access to all the recordings that we have this week. So it's a space for all the replays and the MP3s and the downloads. It's also a space where you can just tune in whenever you want, whenever you like. It's a space that is separate from the community space, where there is engagement and interaction. In the online community space on LinkedIn, what we will do is have an overview of a session. So we will have a session image. And what I'll do is I'll ask you what your learning was. So there you'll have the interaction. But if you are a premium ticket holder and you will not be able to interact much during this week, then that is a quiet space for you to engage with the materials in a time that suits you best. So that is the practical side. So let's see. So I showed you the main summit page, the schedule page. There's also a link that I sent you the other day. It's also included on the daily pages, so you'll be able to find it there, where you can find the session calendar. And the session calendar is with one click of a button, you'll be able to add all the sessions to your online calendar. So whether it's Outlook or Google or Apple, you'll be able to add that there. So that's on the practical side. Now let me look at my notes. I think that I have shared all the practical things of the summit. And now I'd like to see if you have any questions about that. So I'm just going to switch to you, Michelle, to see if there are any questions right now.
Yes, there are. So do you want me to read a couple of them out there?
Yes, please do. That would be great.
Okay, sure. So an anonymous attendee is asking, can you send a link to the daily page or the schedule?
Actually, it's sent every day. So with the summit, we are in Central European time. And every day at 9 a.m. Central European time, we will be sending the daily email. And that holds the link to the page, and then you'll be able to see all the sessions for that day. So every day, just one email, and then you'll be able to access everything that's on that day. We will have some reminders for the Zoom sessions. So the ones that are live, we have a 1 hour reminder before the session. But other than that, you can just go to the daily page. It also has the Zoom link on there. So be able to access it there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I hope that answers this person's question. We don't have a name, but I'm assuming that you're not the only one who has this question.
So there was a practical question. Would all sessions, the live sessions and the pre-recorded, be available for 48 hours for the participants without premium?
Yes, yes. So for example, if a session becomes available at 4 p.m. On Monday, then on Wednesday at 4 p.m., it will close for viewing. So you'll have a 48-hour window. Now, when we look at the live sessions, of course, when we broadcast them, when we have the Zoom session, what we'll do is we'll post a recording on the website as soon as it's available, and then we'll start the 48 hours from there. So we're looking into doing that really quickly after the live session has completed. But it may take a couple of minutes or hours before we actually able to put that on. And then you'll have 48 hours to watch it.
You have some really helpful people. So another question came out saying, could you please put the name of the LinkedIn group in the chat? I wasn't sure if it was Systemic Leadership or Systemic Leadership Summit. And then Yolanda and a couple and Sarah F have already shared the links. So I'm just going to add it to Arlene's question. So
yeah.
I won't send it privately. I'll send it in the chat. So that right now is where we're at with questions.
Right. Okay. Now, if there's any more questions, then please let me know. I am going to see if I can switch. To see if I can. I am just looking into to see if I can quickly show the membership area, because I closed it for some reason and I still want to be able to show people what it actually looks like. That's what happens when last minute you decide to have a super new fast laptop, but it doesn't have all your passwords. So apologies about that. But oh, here we are. So here we go. I am in. Now let me show you what it will look like. Share screen. Okay, well, I hope everyone that you're able to see my screen. And what you see here is the SLS 2021 environment. So if you do decide to be a premium holder, ticket holder, then this is what it looks like. And here, of course, the welcoming message. And what happens is that the kickoff session that we're doing now will be posted here. We now have a placeholder session coming soon. And also all the sessions that will be on this week are going to be posted here. Here we'll have the Q&A, so the recording of the Q&A. And here we have some additional features that come with the premium ticket. There are a couple of master classes that you can join. You can book a call with me to discuss any systemic leadership questions you may have, or questions about the summit, or questions about your situation in your team or your organization. So this gives you a little bit more access. Also, I have included the list to systemic leadership books. This is a website that we created to, because many people are curious, who are all the speakers? What did they write? Can I read something? And so we're building an overview of the major books that our summit speakers, we have over 85, almost 90 summit speakers who have ever joined a Systemic Leadership Summit, and many of them wrote books. So we have an overview, and the link to that is also here. So I just wanted to show you that. Now, of course, the summit sessions are not open yet, but as soon as we go through this week, actually every session will open up as soon as the recordings become available also in the live week. So by the end of this week, apart from the live sessions, maybe because we're still processing them, but then by the end of the week, you will have access to everything. I see, I closed sharing my screen. I see a number, I see another question pop up. Or was that just a thank you from you, Michelle?
Oh, it's another question. So Sarah F is asking, it would be really helpful to see the schedule of events for the week in order to plan in advance. So she's just, voicing a concern that, one day doesn't leave enough time or enough notice. Is there, another way around?
So when you say you would like to schedule, then you can go to the add to calendar link. Let me just see if I can find that and then show that to you. I'm just popping that up. It's a link that I included in one of the emails that I sent to you. And I think it should be part of the everyday mails, actually. I think that if we include it in all of them, that'd be very helpful for everyone. So thanks for the question. While I'm looking that up, thanks for your patience.
Yolanda has kindly added this, so I'm going to
That's
pop this
nice. Oh,
into,
Yolanda's on. Thanks,
yeah.
Yolanda. I should be introducing my entire team, actually.
I'm just going to
But
be,
thank you so much, Yolanda, for doing that. For some reason, things are really slow here and I'm not able to pull it up so quickly. And I do want to answer all questions. So for
well,
me, that's very important.
also we have a really nice friend from another anonymous attendee. And this person has shared the Systemic Leadership Summit daily schedule. So for everyone,
so shall I put it on then? Is it in the chat?
it's not in the chat because the chat's disabled right now, but it's in the Q&A, and I'm going to just put it in the chat for the rest of the group.
Oh, well, I can click it here.
Okay.
I just clicked it so I can show it to everyone.
Great.
It's so nice to have helpful hands. Thank you so much for doing that. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so when you click on the link, this is what you see. And most of you will be familiar with this feature. So if you click on this add to calendar, what will happen is it will allow you to add all these sessions to your calendar in one click. Now, as you scroll down, what you will see is that the first few events So these are all the summit sessions will be on view, but you won't be able to see the ones beyond the 20th of January. That doesn't mean that the other ones are not in the calendar. The other ones are in the calendar. It says 22 upcoming events. One dropped off because that's the one that we are on now, but we have 22 upcoming events, and that's more than the ones that are in display. So they're all in there. And if we make any changes, and we will because we have an additional speaker coming up on the Saturday, the 23rd. His name is John Renish, and he's also joining the summit. So if we have any additions in the calendar, then it should automatically also add it to your calendar. So just so you know, there will be an additional session on Saturday. We have one at 9, we have one at 11 Central European Time, and there will be the third one at 1 p.m. Central European Time, so that you know. Everything else is in the calendar. Thank you so much for sharing, Yolanda. Any other questions that are coming up?
Right now, there are no new questions, but keep an eye out on the Q&A chat box.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case, I would like to say thank you so much for your attention during the first half of the kickoff. And again, a very warm welcome to you. And I would like to switch to the second part of this kickoff, where I'll be sharing my screen and show you the Systemic Change Leadership Framework, which is the backbone of this summit. Let's see. So I'm sharing my screen. Michelle, could you just verify that this is visible?
It is visible.
Okay, so the Systemic Change Leadership Journey as the backbone of this summit. And what I'll interweave also is a little bit more about what the summit sessions are about. So the Systemic Change Leadership Journey is a systemic approach to change leadership, or how to guide change, or how to lead change in an organizational setting. And what I've done in the past few years, like I mentioned in the introduction just briefly, is I put together all that I picked up from all the speakers and combined that with my profession, which is to help leaders work with change in their organizations from a systemic and a people perspective. And when I started the Systemic Leadership Summit, I did that from the definition that systemic leadership is the type of leadership that really belongs to the system. It's a role that belongs to the system. It's not so much focused on leaders or people who fulfill leadership roles. It is something that is part of a system in its way to an attempt to continue to reach its goals. And in that sense, it has a strong systemic function, and it also has a function of guiding the borders of an organization. So really to be able to maximize the inner potential of an organizational system, and also to guide the borders where it interacts with its environment. And what I wanted to investigate and study is also what is going to create a paradigm shift in the way we define, shape, and experience leadership. Because in the traditional sense, leadership is at the top of the pyramid, it's control based, and it resides in people. And systemic leadership is a completely different approach, a completely different way of looking at leadership. And when we do, it helps us also to bring out the strength of the collective and combine it with the deeply personal, as Peter Senji also says in the short trailer on our Systemic Leadership Summit website. So it's a journey of now including a 5th Systemic Leadership Summit, but also the previous 4, to combine everything that was said and to see what do we end up with. Now, when we look at the current tides, there's a lot of disruption, there's a lot of turbulence. We find ourselves in a lot of liminality in the space of the not knowing where things are going next. And yeah, this journey is also changing. And I think that with this summit, the systemic change leadership journey will also change. But what I'd like to do is to invite you to also take a look at this framework and see, as you experience the different sessions in this summit, what you make up of it, or how you would change it, or how you would develop it. It's an open invitation. There's no need to do that. But the backdrop of this actually is that it's a framework. It has 3 major stages and a couple of steps to guide an evolution towards more systemic change leadership. So not just systemic leadership, but also how to guide change and transformation in the organization. Now, why is it a backbone? This is the journey. I will have briefly speak to it, but these are the 3 stages. And what you'll see in this summit, like almost every other summit that we've had before, is that speakers have specific topics that they talk about that resonate with these stages. So for example, when someone talks to me about seeing the system, or when there's a systemic approach that's about seeing the system, then some are very obvious. For example, it's about constellation work, or it's about visualizing the system, or there are ways of mapping organizational systems or societal systems or any kind of system. And seeing the system is very much about that aspect, but also about the change aspect, and it's the organization relationship to its environment, and it's about the systemic leadership aspect. Then share the space is about what happens in the interaction within the organization and with the organization and its environment. So those type of interactions that allow for the generating, the sense making, the dealing with difference, dealing with conflict, all those type of things that happen within or between in and outside the border of a system. And then the 3rd stage is called Shape the Shift, and that is the innovation, the growing complexity, the evolvement of the system. And so those 3 stages are the ones that that most, not all, but most summit sessions resonate with, one or maybe even more than that. So when you learn about systemic approaches this week, when you learn about leadership and how you look at it, this is also a framework that you're invited to use to see if that accelerates your learning and put things in perspective. Like I said, in the stage 1, there are 3 different aspects. There's organization approach, there's change identification, and there's leadership paradigm. So seeing the system has to do with these three elements as part of the journey. Now, I could say a lot about them, but just briefly, in the first one about organization approach, the main question is, what is our system and what are our connections and patterns that we see? So that is the core question. And this is actually something that I'm discussing with a number of Systemic Leadership Summit speakers when we talk about the patterns that they see or the connections they're making, or what to do with complexity, and how to build different skills or viewpoints or muscles to understand what are the patterns that we're actually finding ourselves in. The second one, the main question there is, what are the types of changes that we are dealing with right now, and how are we able to deal with that? For example, we have decision making in complex adaptive systems, and how to use systems thinking to do that, or how to use your inner power to deal with changes like endings. Endings is also a really big theme on a global level. Um, so you can expect those type of answers also. Then specifically about leadership, what type of leadership is needed? For example, on Monday, I'll be talking to Joan Lurie about shaping or developing the type of leadership that is needed in complex adaptive systems, specifically organizations, and how in organizations it's different than in other types of systems. So that's an example also of where we talk about that there. So that's stage one. And here I have a number of people. Here, for example, here we see Joan. But also, for example, potential in organizational systems is also something that is really a really interesting session with Jan Jacobstam, to detect potential, to define what it actually is, and how you can see it in your organization or in any system. In stage two, like I said, this is about the interaction, or about the leveraging the collective intelligence that is flowing through the system, and how it can get unstuck. This is about the communication, the interaction, but also dealing with differences. And there are different summit sessions also that specifically refer to this. For example, I speak to Philippe Bayeux about trauma in organizations. And this is about where patterns are stuck, where people are stuck in the organizational context, and what actually is required, or what you can do from a systemic perspective to get that unstuck and to work through the trauma that was incurred in organizations. So change communication is part of the share the space, where you look at how much energy and information can flow through the system. A number of speakers I also speak to about the regenerative, about how vital is an organization, and what can you do to make it more vital? What are the preconditions? And one of them where you can see it is how much energy is flowing through your organization. Kathleen Allen, for example, is someone I talked to about the idea that we tend to create organizations or different systems that are degenerative instead of regenerative. And so what can you do to add to the vitality of organizations? Then collective intelligence. This is do we listen to all information and voices that is actually present in the system to generate something new? And I think that when we'll have the live session with Dave Snowden and Nora Bateson about sense making and warm data, this is also a way to access that. I'm really looking forward to that session also. But it speaks to many aspects of the systemic change leadership journey, that session, but especially also to this one, where there's so much complexity that you need to approach things from a different perspective than the traditional cause and effect, looking at where all the information is that you can work with. And then how to deal with differences and leverage differences. And well, with all the major divides that are going on right now, there are some sessions in this summit where we talk about how do we actually go back to the cohesive energies within the system. Or with Marita Frichon, for example, I talk about how you can work with a sense of belonging in systems that are highly diverse and deal with a lot of differences. So also very interesting session, that one. So here are a couple of examples also of speakers. Then in the stage 3, let me go back. The stage 3 about shape the shift, we have elements of self-organization, of innovation, and of what can you do to look to anticipate future, especially when you find yourself in the land of not knowing. And for example, with Wendy Mahoney, I'll be talking about inclusive innovation. And that innovation is usually we think of technological innovation or advancement. And what she talks about is that there's actually that innovation is actually a very much a human process. And so how can you be inclusive in the process of innovation and do that in a business context? And that is going to be a very interesting exchange with her also. So self-organization, how do we organize ourselves when complexity increases? And how natural is self-organization actually? And also a number of summit sessions where we actually explore that and go into that. One of the speakers is Brian Rivera, where I talk with him about the flow system, something that integrates systems thinking and teamwork to really cater for the self-organization. Then, like I said before, this is about how the system can expand, stabilize, and expand and become more complex. And that is also what innovation actually does. It adds to the new possibilities of the organization. So I just gave Wendy's example as a summit session, but that's in step number 8. And then number 9 is how can we lead from the emerging future? And what's really interesting is that I have a summit session with Arawana Hayashi where we talk about embodied intelligence, and by embodying what is and not wanting to have an agenda, not wanting to want something, but actually sit with either stuckness or silence or not knowing or freeze, what can come up from embodied intelligence and spark some new possibilities, new emerging futures also. Very interesting session. I hope you'll be able to join that one also. So that is stage 3. So when we look at that, there's also a couple of speakers who will also adhere to that. So it's not about categorizing. That's not what it's about. So that may what it look like, but what you'll see is that many sessions will sort of make more sense when you have this umbrella. Also, especially if systemic approaches are fairly new to you. But I also think that for many of those who are very experienced in um, systemic approaches, complexity, um, and cybernetics and all that, that you'll find the sessions also very much an inspiration, not just in the sense of what is an approach like, but it's also, yeah, also they're tilted a bit to the common theme about the human aspect of our systemic work and how our summit speakers and experts and wise people, how they embody that approach, how they live their lives also. So not just organizations and societies and complexity, but also the human factor in our summit sessions. So my invitation to you actually is to experience a summit and to use your own copy of the Systemic Change Leadership Journey. And I will send that to you. I'll actually put it up in a link so that you can also download it, but I'll also put it up next to the recording of this kickoff session so that you'll be able to have a look at it and see what you make up of it. And I'd like you to ask yourself this week, what is the value of a systemic approach to leadership, to change, to dealing with complexity, to what we are currently experiencing on a local and a global scale. And I'd love to hear back from you also, especially if you're attending the Q&A, but you can also put it in an online community space. But in the Q&A at the end of this summit, I will get back to this question and see if there are any remarks that you want to make or any insights that you would like to share based on this invitation.
Jennifer, we have a couple
Yes,
of questions just before
a
you
couple of questions. Sure.
Can I fire away? So Marcel is asking a more of a logistics question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to add all the speakers to his calendar at once? Currently, what we do see is that you can add one by one.
Yeah. So earlier, somebody asked if we could share the link where you have one button and then they all appear in your calendar. So I will send that in the daily email again so that you have that available. So be on the lookout for that one. So everyone who does not have that link yet, I will send it in the email. You click on it, you get into the calendar page, click the button, add the calendar, and then you'll be able to put them all at once in your online calendar. So I hope that answers your question.
I think so. And I think Dove Tassal is asking a similar question. So Dove, just let me know or add your question into the Q&A. I noticed Sarah F has raised her hand, but Sarah F, could you write down your question in the Q&A chat in the Q&A box so we can all see it?
Yeah.
And Micah Hornstraw has asked, would the presentation be available for us?
The presentation I just did?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, of course. So both the framework, which is on a one-pager, and this presentation will be available to you. I think I will put it next to the recording of this session so that you'll know where to find it. And for premium ticket holders, I will also put it in the membership area so that it's available there.
Fantastic. I think one of our speakers, Ben Tyler, is saying hello.
Okay. Hi, Benjamin.
So, hello.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining, Benjamin. You have just gone crazy on LinkedIn about this summit. So I just wanted to personally thank you. And I hope that many people are attending and hearing this. Benjamin is one of the most active speakers in promoting the summit. And I think that many of you may have heard of this summit because of him. So thank you so much.
I'm just adding for Sarah F the program again. So you'll see a link to the calendar. I think that's it. I think, yeah, those are our questions.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you do if you have questions in between that are practical? And just let me go here again so that that you all can see. Just share my screen. Different browser. Here we go. So I hope that you are all able to see my screen. Now, when you go to the main summit page, so the systemicleadershipsummit.com page, I have a little button at the bottom right, that you can click open. And once you accept the privacy regulations, because we may need your name and email, what you then can do is type in any question that involves practical things. So if you can't find certain links, or if you lost an email, or if you no longer know how to get to the online community space, or all those type of practical things, please pop them in that chat box. What you can also do is send an email to info@systemicleadershipsummit.com. So those are two ways where my team and I will be ready to answer your questions as you encounter them during the week. And there's also a frequently asked questions on the page. So at the bottom of the page, we have a couple of general questions that we also answer for you there. So just so you know. So the online community space is about the session content, about the learning, those type of things. And when we look at the practical things, then you have the chat box, the frequently asked questions on the page, and our email inbox, info@systemicleadershipsummit.com. So let me get back to Michelle. Are there any other questions? I think I see one more QA.
Right now, there is someone just saying thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, if there are no more questions, I just wanted to put this slide on. I just, yes. If there are no more questions, then I just want to say, have a wonderful summit experience. You will probably feel like you're at a banquet, and you'll probably overeat because they're so valuable. So I also encourage you to find some certain space, or maybe if you can take a walk outside, please do so, because usually the summit is very intense, and watching a couple of the sessions will very likely throw you in reflect and learning mode, and that is going to require some. So if you can find also some reflection spots, and if you want to reflect with others, you can go to the online community space. So have a wonderful summit experience, and I look forward to seeing you during the week, and hopefully also in the Q&A in a week's time from now. I'm going to sign off. I would like to thank you, Michelle, for your assistance here and for sharing all the questions from everybody. So thank you so much. And also for all the kind people who shared links. Yolanda, thanks for being there and saving me with that link, because yeah, I couldn't find it that quickly. So thank you, everyone. Everyone who attended, thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you during the week. Have a wonderful day, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you.